The return from silence. The sensors screamed their warnings across the observation deck of Sentinel Station, a massive structure floating in the empty darkness between star systems. Lieutenant Kara Vex, a young officer with sharp green eyes and dark hair tied back in a practical bun, jumped from her seat as red lights flooded the room. Her three-fingered Vryn colleague, Technician Zelm, was already racing through diagnostic checks with his crystalline hands moving faster than human eyes could follow. "This cannot be right," Zelm whispered, his translator converting his harmonic speech into flat standard language. "The readings are coming from the void sector. Nothing comes from there. Nothing ever has." Kara leaned over the console, her heart pounding as she watched the data stream across multiple screens. The void sector was the name given to a region of space beyond the outer territories where stars simply stopped existing. It was a blank space on every map, a cosmic emptiness that stretched for thousands of light years. Survey missions sent there never found anything worth noting. Just darkness and silence. Until now. "Multiple contacts," Kara reported, her voice steady despite her growing unease. "Large signatures. Very large. Coming in fast from bearing 273 Mark 15. Captain Alara Voss entered the command center with quick, purposeful steps. She was a woman in her early 40s, with silver streaks in her black hair and the kind of calm confidence that came from 20 years of service. As the human representative commanding Sentinel Station, she coordinated defense and monitoring operations for 12 different species. Her position required diplomacy as much as military skill. "Status report," Elara demanded, moving to the central holographic display that showed their sector of space. "Unknown vessels approaching from the void sector, Captain," Kara explained. "They are using faster-than-light travel, but the signature is strange. The drives are putting out energy patterns I have never seen before." Zelm added his findings. "The quantum resonance suggests extremely old technology. These ships might be using early-generation warp systems. But that is impossible. No one has used such primitive drives in over 800 years. Elara felt a cold sensation crawl up her spine. She pulled up the long-range scans and watched as 15 massive shapes began resolving on the display. They were enormous, each one dwarfing the largest modern vessels. Their hulls showed signs of tremendous damage, with entire sections scarred and burned. Yet they moved with purpose and precision. "Broadcast standard greeting protocols on all frequencies," Elara ordered. "Let them know they are entering Galactic Council-protected space." The communication officer, a four-armed Kellian named Jorks, worked his controls. "Broadcasting now, Captain." No response yet. Minutes passed like hours. The mysterious fleet continued its approach, steadily closing the distance to Sentinel Station. Elara watched the tactical display, noting how the ships moved in perfect formation. This was a military fleet, organized and disciplined. That made them either very professional or very dangerous. "Captain," Jorks suddenly announced, "we are receiving a transmission. Audio only. The language is ancient Earth standard, pre-Council era." Elara felt her breath catch. Earth standard had not been used as a primary language for over 900 years. Modern humans spoke Galactic Common, a hybrid language designed for easy translation between species. Only historians and linguists studied the old Earth tongues anymore. "Play it," she ordered. Static filled the command center, followed by a deep male voice that spoke with strange pronunciations and cadence. "This is Exodus Fleet Command, United Earth Colonial Forces. We are transmitting identification codes now. We request immediate navigation assistance to Earth coordinates. Please confirm receipt and respond." The room fell silent. Every eye turned to Captain Voss. The United Earth. Colonial forces had been dissolved over 1,000 years ago when humanity joined the Galactic Council. The Exodus Fleet was a name from history books, a legendary armada that vanished during Earth's great expansion period. It cannot be them, Zelm said quietly. The Exodus fleet left Earth 1,200 years ago. They were declared lost after 50 years of silence. But Elara was already pulling up historical records from the station's archives. Her hands moved quickly across the interface, searching for information that most people had forgotten. She found what she needed within seconds. The Exodus fleet had been humanity's largest colonial expedition, carrying over 2 million people in 15 massive carrier ships protected by dozens of military escorts. Their mission was to establish human presence in the far reaches of unexplored space, to find new worlds before Earth's resources ran completely dry. They never returned. No distress signals. No debris fields. Nothing. After half a century, Earth had declared them lost and moved forward with other plans. Eventually, humanity made contact with alien civilizations, and everything changed. The Exodus fleet became a tragic footnote in human history. Verify their identification codes, Elara commanded. Compare them against historical databases. Jorks worked for several minutes before looking up with disbelief written across his face. Captain, the codes match. These are authentic United Earth Colonial Forces credentials. The encryption keys are correct. This is really the Exodus fleet. Elara composed herself and nodded to Jorks. Open a channel. Let me speak to them. The communication link crackled to life, and Elara spoke clearly. Exodus fleet, this is Captain Elara Voss, commanding officer of Sentinel Station, Galactic Council Defense Force. We confirm receipt of your identification codes. Welcome back. Your fleet has been missing for over 1,000 years. Please state your situation and needs. The response came after a brief pause. Captain Voss, this is Fleet Commander Arcturus Kang. Your time frame is incorrect from our perspective. We departed Earth 78 years ago on our subjective timeline. We encountered hostile forces and engaged in combat operations that required extreme measures. Our navigation systems were damaged. We need current star charts and Earth's location. Asterisk Elara exchanged worried glances with her bridge crew. Relativistic time dilation could explain some of the discrepancy, but not all of it. Something else had happened to these ships. Commander Kane, Elara said carefully, I need to inform you that significant time has passed. Earth is no longer at its original coordinates. Humanity has relocated to multiple colony worlds across the galaxy. We are now part of a larger interstellar community called the Galactic Council. I am requesting permission for you to dock with this station so we can provide assistance and information. Another pause, this one longer. When Kane spoke again, his voice carried an edge of confusion and frustration. Galactic Council? Captain Voss, please clarify. What happened to Earth? What happened to humanity? Earth's sun entered its expansion phase 900 years ago, Elara explained gently. Humanity evacuated to colony worlds. We survived, Commander. We thrived. But much has changed. The command center suddenly filled with new alarm signals. Kara called out urgently. Captain, the Exodus fleet is powering up weapon systems. Multiple ships are going to combat readiness. Elara felt adrenaline surge through her body. Commander Kane, please power down your weapons. You are not in danger here. We are trying to help you. Kane's response was cold and measured. Captain Voss, we have been fighting for our survival for decades. We do not power down our weapons in unknown territory. We will maintain combat readiness until we confirm the situation. Now tell me exactly what happened to Earth and humanity. Elara made a quick decision. Commander, I am sending you comprehensive historical data now. It will take time to review, but it contains everything you need to know. Please lower your weapons and dock with us. I give you my word as a fellow human that you are safe here. Your word means nothing to me yet, Captain, Kane replied. But I will review your data. Exodus Fleet will maintain position at current distance. We will contact you again in 6 hours. Kane out. The transmission ended. Elara stood at the central display, watching the ancient fleet hold position exactly 50,000 kilometers from Sentinel Station. Close enough to respond quickly, far enough to have maneuvering room if things went wrong. Contact the Galactic Council immediately, Elara ordered. Inform them we have made contact with a lost human fleet from Kree-Council era. Request guidance and support. And get me every military expert we have on staff. I want to know exactly what kind of weapons those ships are carrying. As her crew jumped into action, Elara continued staring at the holographic display. Somewhere on those scarred and battered ships, 8,000 humans were learning that everything they knew was gone. Their Earth, their civilization, their entire way of life had vanished into history while they fought for survival in the darkness. She wondered what kind of people they had become during those 78 years of subjective time. What had they fought? What had they seen? And most importantly, what would they do now that they had returned to find their home was gone and their species had changed beyond recognition? The Exodus fleet hung in space like a ghost from the past, and Captain Elara Voss knew that nothing would ever be the same again. Whatever happened next would reshape the relationship between humanity and the galaxy. The ancient warriors had returned, and they were still armed, still dangerous, and still very much alive. The choice between past and future. 6 hours passed in tense silence. Captain Elara Voss had barely left the command center, surviving on coffee and nervous energy, while her crew monitored the Exodus fleet's every movement. The ancient ships remained in formation, their weapons still active, but not targeting anything specific. They were waiting, watching, trying to understand a universe that had moved on without them. The Galactic Council's response had arrived within 2 hours, and it was not encouraging. Representatives from a dozen species demanded immediate answers. How powerful were these ancient human weapons? What were their intentions? Could they be controlled? The word controlled had made Elara's jaw tighten with anger, but she kept her diplomatic mask firmly in place. Now, as the 6-hour deadline approached, Elara stood before the main view screen with her senior staff assembled behind her. The communication channel opened precisely on time, and Commander Arcturus Kane's face appeared on the display. He was younger than Elara had expected, perhaps in his late 30s, with short dark hair showing hints of gray at the temples. His face was lean and hard, marked by a thin scar running from his left eyebrow to his cheekbone. But it was his eyes that captured attention. They were steel gray and held the kind of exhaustion that came from years of constant combat. He wore a uniform that looked practical and worn, bearing insignia that had not been used in over a millennium. "Captain Voss," Kane said, his voice controlled but strained. "My senior staff and I have reviewed your historical data. It is difficult to accept, but the evidence is clear. We have been gone far longer than we realized." "I understand this must be overwhelming, Commander," Elara replied carefully. "We want to help you and your people adjust. There is so much to explain, so much to show you." Kane nodded slowly. "Your records indicate that humanity abandoned its military structure, enjoying this Galactic Council as equals with alien species. Is this correct?" "Yes, Commander. We are one of 47 member species. We contribute to Council operations, share technology, and maintain peace across thousands of systems." Something flickered across Kane's expression. Disbelief? Disappointment? It was gone before Elara could identify it clearly. "And human military forces?" Kane asked. "What defensive capabilities does humanity maintain independently?" Elara hesitated. This was sensitive territory. Humanity contributes ships and personnel to the Council Defense Force. We maintain some independent system defense fleets, but most of our military integration occurred centuries ago. The Council provides collective security. I see, Kane said quietly. So humanity surrendered its ability to defend itself and placed that responsibility in alien hands. The word stung, even though Elara knew Kane did not fully understand the context. We did not surrender anything, Commander. We chose cooperation over conflict. It has brought us prosperity and peace. Kane leaned forward slightly, his gray eyes intense. Captain Voss, I need to tell you what happened to us. I need you to understand why those words sound hollow to my ears. Elara nodded. Please, Commander. We want to understand. Kane's expression darkened as he began speaking. 78 years ago, by our timeline, the Exodus fleet left Earth with orders to establish colonies in the far reaches of unexplored space. We were 2 million strong, carried in 15 colony ships with full military escort. Our mission was clear: expand humanity's reach before Earth's resources failed completely. Asterisk, he paused, gathering his thoughts. 4 months into our journey, we detected unusual energy signatures in an uncharted region. Our scientists were excited. The readings suggested advanced technology, possibly an alien civilization. Command made the decision to investigate. Elara felt a cold sensation building in her stomach. She knew this story would not end well. What we found was hell, Kane continued, his voice becoming harder. An intelligence we came to call the Null Swarm, millions of autonomous machines, each one designed for a single purpose: converting all organic matter into raw materials for replication. They were ancient, Captain, older than any civilization we have encountered. And they were hungry. The command center had gone completely silent. Everyone was listening now. The Null Swarm attacked immediately, Kane said. No communication, no warning. Just immediate, overwhelming violence. We lost 3 colony ships in the first engagement. 600,000 people died in less than an hour. The rest of us ran, but the swarm followed. His hands clenched into fists on the armrests of his command chair. We fought a running battle for 7 decades. Every time we stopped to rest, to repair, to mourn our dead, they found us. We learned to fight back, to adapt, to become harder and more ruthless. We captured their technology and integrated it into our ships. We modified our weapons, our tactics, our entire way of thinking. We became a fleet built for one purpose: survival. Elara found her voice. How did you escape? We didn't escape, Kane replied. We won. 73 years after the first attack, we destroyed the Null Swarm's central processing network. It took everything we had. We lost 10 more colony ships. Of the 2 million people who left Earth, only 8,000 remain. We are all that is left of the Exodus fleet. The weight of those numbers pressed down on the command center. 2 million reduced to 8,000. A 99% casualty rate. The final battle damaged our navigation system severely, Kane continued. We also had to use experimental faster-than-light technology that our scientists warned could create temporal anomalies. We knew the risks, but we had no choice. When we finally repaired our systems enough to calculate our position, we discovered that relativistic effects had been far more severe than predicted. What felt like decades to us had been over a millennium in normal spacetime. He looked directly at Elara, and she saw the pain behind his controlled expression. We came home, Captain Voss. Through hell and time, we came home. And we find that humanity gave up its strength while we were gone. That humans now serve alongside the very kind of aliens we were sent to protect against. Commander, Elara said firmly, the Galactic Council is not the Null Swarm. The species we work with are not hostile machines. They are civilizations with art, culture, families, and dreams just like us. They are not our enemies. Perhaps not, Kane acknowledged. But Captain, you must understand our perspective. We spent 7 decades fighting for humanity's survival. We made sacrifices you cannot imagine. We became weapons because that was what humanity needed. And now we return to find that all of it may have been unnecessary. That humanity could have joined forces with aliens from the beginning. Before Elara could respond, Lieutenant Karavex spoke up from her station. Captain, we are receiving multiple communications from human colonies across the sector. News of the Exodus fleet's return has spread. People want to know more. Some are requesting permission to meet the returning fleet. Elara felt a headache forming behind her eyes. The situation was already complicated enough without adding media attention and public interest. Commander Kane, she said, I would like to propose that you and your senior staff come aboard Sentinel Station for face-to-face meetings. We can provide you with detailed briefings on current galactic situation, answer your questions, and begin planning for your fleet's integration into modern society. Kane was silent for a long moment, clearly considering the offer. Integration into modern society, he repeated slowly. Captain, my people are warriors. We have known nothing but combat for our entire adult lives. Some of my crew members were children when we left Earth. They grew up on warships, training to fight machines that wanted to tear them apart. What place do we have in your peaceful society? It was a fair question, and Elara did not have a good answer. How did 8,000 combat veterans from another era fit into a civilization that had moved beyond the very things that defined them? We will find a place, Elara said with more confidence than she felt. Humanity takes care of its own. Always has, always will. Kane studied her for another moment, then nodded. Very well, Captain. I will bring 5 senior officers with me to your station. But Captain Voss, I want you to understand something clearly. My fleet will not disarm. We will not power down our defenses. And if we detect any threat to our people, we will respond with overwhelming force. Are we clear? Crystal clear, Commander, Elara replied. No one is asking you to disarm. Come as you are. You have my word you will be safe here. Your word, Kane said softly. In our experience, words are cheap. Actions matter. We will see if yours match. Kane out. The transmission ended, and Elara let out a breath she had not realized she was holding. Behind her, Zelm spoke quietly. Captain, the Council is requesting another update. They are becoming concerned about the Exodus fleet's capabilities. Tell them we are making progress, Elara said tiredly. And tell them to be patient. These are humans who have been through trauma we cannot fully understand. They need time. But even as she spoke, Elara wondered if time would be enough. The Exodus fleet represented everything modern humanity had left behind. Militarism, isolation, the belief that survival required constant vigilance and overwhelming force. They were warriors from an age when humanity stood alone against the darkness. Now they had returned to find a humanity that no longer stood alone, that had embraced cooperation and peace. The question was whether these two versions of humanity could coexist, or whether the return of the ancient fleet would tear apart everything modern humans had built. 3 hours later, a shuttle launched from the largest Exodus vessel and approached Sentinel Station. Elara stood in the docking bay with an honor guard, watching as the craft settled onto the landing platform. The design was archaic, all hard angles and heavy armor, built for durability rather than elegance. The airlock opened with a hiss of equalizing pressure. Commander Arcturus Kane stepped out first, followed by 5 officers. They all wore the same practical uniforms, all carried themselves with the same warrior's grace. But it was their eyes that struck Elara most powerfully. Every one of them had that same exhausted, watchful look. the look of people who had seen too much death and could never fully let their guard down. Kane approached Ilara and saluted in the old military style, fist over heart. Captain Voss, permission to come aboard. Ilara returned the salute, feeling the weight of history in the gesture. Permission granted, Commander Kane. Welcome to Sentinel Station. Kane's gray eyes swept across the docking bay, taking in every detail. Ilara saw him noting the mixed crew of humans and aliens working together, the advanced technology, the casual cooperation between species. His expression remained neutral, but she could sense his judgment forming. Captain, Kane said, let us talk honestly. Show me what humanity has become. Help me understand if we sacrificed everything for a species that no longer values what we fought to protect. Ilara met his gaze steadily. Commander, let me show you what humanity achieved. Let me show you that your sacrifice was not in vain, just that it led to something different than you expected. Kane nodded slowly. Very well, Captain. Show me. Because right now, I am not sure I recognize my own species anymore. As they left the docking bay, Ilara knew the next few days would determine humanity's future. The ancient warriors had returned, and they were asking hard questions that modern humans had stopped asking centuries ago. Questions about strength, independence, and what it truly meant to survive. The Exodus fleet had fought for 70 years to protect humanity. Now they had to decide if the humanity they found was worth what they had endured. And Ilara had to prove that peace was not weakness, that cooperation was not surrender, and that humanity's evolution was not betrayal of everything the Exodus fleet had sacrificed. In the darkness beyond the station, the ancient warships waited, their weapons still ready, their crews still vigilant. Warriors from another age returned to a time that might no longer have a place for them. The choice between past and future had begun, and no one knew which path humanity would ultimately choose. Asterisk.